Ho, ho, ho. Welcome back to I Remember That podcast, where we break down nostalgic things we remember and look at them in the modern eye. Today's a Christmas episode or holiday or whatever you celebrate. And we're going to just remember that classic pastime where we're off work and out of school and there's nothing to do but open gifts and play with our new toys and eat lots of food. As always, Kris and Ian are here. Say hey, Ian.
Hey, Ian.
Christmas time. We're finally here. It's finally cold outside. Yeah, what's sticking out in your mind first? Because there's so many things.
Dude, I don't know why. Every time I think about Christmas and nostalgia, I always think about when I got my GameCube when I was 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew about it ahead of time because I was snooping and I went under the tree and I didn't like open the present, but there was like an indention. So I like kind of pressed it in and looked at it and it was.
We're already there. I love that.
And there was just some enough I was like, oh yeah, this is a GameCube. And that's it. I don't know. And it was cool. Was it a
GameCube?
Yeah, it was. And
okay.
And I really wanted one, and it came with Super Mario Sunshine, which is now my favorite video game of all time. So
classic.
I was trying to think like, thinking back on Christmas, and that one memory always sticks out to me for some reason.
Yeah, no, I got the PS2. I don't remember if I fondled the gift or not to find it out, but I think it was set up on Christmas Day. And we were like, yo, oh my God, Gran Turismo, what up?
Yeah.
And so I definitely understand that console excitement. I think my favorite console or my favorite gift surprise was, every year we'd have Christmas and then my grandparents would show up for breakfast because it'd be super early. My dad would cook. And it was the year, let's see. Well, I'll just get to it. We opened all of our gifts, everything was cool and we were done. And then my grandparents showed up and they're like, go out in the car and get our bags. And we were like, okay, it's kind of random, but okay. So we go out there and they got Rock Band. It was the year of Rock Band, and it was the Band in the Box edition with like the drums and the guitar and stuff. So we were just like, oh man, I get stoked to this day thinking about that because it was just like, that's what we really wanted. And we thought it was over with and the grandparents just rocked it out. But yeah, Christmas is a magical time for, memories just in general. Like it always seems to be like everybody's usually in a good mood and things are kind of jolly,
Yeah. The Rock Band thing, it actually jogged a memory for me, and I feel like a thankless idiot now because there's something I got on Christmas that's way more impactful in my life and that I got on Christmas that matters way more than Super Mario Sunshine. And it was that
although it is important.
It is important, yeah. But it was 1 year later, actually. My mom's kind of a very similar thing. My mom said, like, go check the trunk of my car or something. And I go down there, and I think it was like a pack of drumsticks. And it was the first time I got a drum kit for Christmas.
That's cool.
Yeah, and they made it into a scavenger hunt too. They sent me around the house finding different, like, there's a floor tom here, a snare drum here, and
oh man, I love that.
Yeah, and I remember the reason I wanted one was because my stepbrother he liked to play guitar, and I told my mom, I was like, yeah, me and my brother are going to start a band. It's going to be awesome. I want to learn to play drums. So my mom and my dad like just bought me a drum set. Like I've never played them before, but they thought like, oh, he said he was into it and he will. And yeah. I haven't looked back, obviously. Like I've been playing.
That's way luckier than I want to be in the drums and your parents being like, yeah, well, you're good luck because that's loud and in a lot of rooms.
It is. And luckily I have parents because like my mom has been a pianist her whole life. And
music. Okay.
Yeah, so she understands the importance of music. And, they'd leave when I wanted to play, but they were very accepting of me playing a loud instrument, and I did. I put a lot of effort into it. They got me lessons, and like I said, I've been playing for 20 years now. But similarly, a year later, maybe a couple years later, but they were like the first act drums, from Sears or something. So they weren't good, but they were good beginners. And I wanted like better, newer drums. So, and I knew they didn't know any better. So I just, I took like a knife and punctured the drum heads
Oh
and told them, I was
gosh.
like, oh, the drum heads are busted. I need new drums. And they went out and got me a Yamaha kit like for that one.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
which
Well, so it actually worked out.
it did work out. I just feel like an asshole because I didn't have
I
to do all that.
That's a tough one. I mean, if as long as it works, I guess. Yeah, I was just sitting here trying to think of other spontaneous situations like that. There was one time where I told myself, because like I said, I stay up on Christmas, like not now,
Hmm.
but when I was a kid, I just couldn't sleep. So I would just, my imagination would run so wild, and I would be like, all right, I'm going to get a camera. I'm going to ask for a camera for Christmas and then keep it for a year and then put it up in the living room and try to catch Santa. And I was just like, and thinking about it now, I'm like, what in the hell? I never did that, but I always had like, I would just like stay up and imagine like, how cool would that be if I had like a little camera like to put in there to catch Santa.
Yeah.
I never did though. I never got to do that.
Did you? So, I mean, most people in our generation did. I mean, was your family pretty big on Santa for a while?
Yeah, there was some time where my mom said if you didn't believe in Santa, you'd only get one gift. And I
Oh
was
shit.
like, yo, I'm not risking that.
Yeah.
So, in the circles where people are like, Santa's not real, I'd say, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. But then in the circles where he was real, I would say, yeah, I believe in him.
Hmm.
So I skirted that for a long time. What about you?
I don't. I always tell people that when I stopped believing in Santa, and I don't know if this is totally true, but it's a vague memory I have of Santa Claus came to our house on Christmas Eve in the early evening, I think, and then later, like after bedtime, I go downstairs and that same guy had come back, and it was my uncle in a suit. And so, and like I tell people, like, oh, that's when I quit believing. And maybe, I don't know if that's actually the moment, but I still vaguely remember at least that part of it. And I will say, though, what's funny too about Santa is we did have Santa in our homes, but when we would go up to my grandparents' house, my dad's parents, and I have a lot of cousins on that side, and we'd have a big gift exchange if we're there. And there's like I said, like 30 cousins. And when grandma and grandma had gifts to give out to my cousins, it would say, to Eric from Santa. And so they'd always say it was from Santa. And then, but if grandma gave grandpa something, it said to Santa from Santa.
Oh, yeah. I think we talked about
Really?
this, didn't we?
Maybe.
I swear we talked about
Dude,
this.
maybe. I don't know. I'm just going
I
to.
think it was no. It counts more now. I think it was in the intro episode because I'm like that sounds so familiar. But yeah, that guy, what a sweetheart for saying that. He was nodding to himself, like,
Right.
hey, this is my gift.
Yeah.
Clever.
It was. So yeah, Santa in our house, I don't remember how it related to our family or when we stopped talking about it or when we broke the news, but it did actually affect sort of how I put it on to my kids, weirdly, is one
Interesting.
thing I've thought about is, and I'm just this dumb liberal millennial where, because we don't do Santa Claus in our house now. And
Okay.
we're not like anti-Christmas spirit. Right next to me, 3 feet to my right, is a Christmas tree, and we've got presents wrapped under it, and we have ornaments that we've made and bought. Like, we love Christmas spirit for sure. But we decided, I don't know, when our daughter was young, that we wouldn't perpetuate Santa because, not that the idea isn't fun, but part of it was like, okay, we don't want to have to lie to a child for years just for them to be devastated and traumatized or whatever, years down the line, whether they find out from some kid or some Santa he's smoking next to his car and, the illusion shattered. But
Oh, I see what you mean.
but we also just kind of rationalized it where we're like, if we're working all year to buy these presents for this kid, why are we giving credit to this dude? Like, some magic random
That's
guy.
true.
So
Yeah, and I think that's what I appreciated when I finally figured it out. It was like, oh, this is my parents. That's pretty badass. That
yeah,
because I guess when you're a kid, like, Santa's when it's real, that's cool and all, but you're just stoked to get gifts.
Hmm.
So but when you get to that age, you start to appreciate things and you're like, oh, but if the kids believe it from the start, I could see that being way better. So I mean, what you guys are doing is totally cool.
Yeah, and like we also we teach our kids, we tell them pretty early, like, hey, we don't do that, we have fun with the thing, but we also tell them like, don't go ruining it for other kids. Like, we don't want you being like anti Santa. Just keep it to yourself.
Right.
But the other thing that we another reason we don't like to perpetuate it in our home, again, it feels like kind of silly to just go overboard because it's Santa Claus, but it's that we also, you'll go to school after Christmas break, and this poor, quiet kid who's been good all year gets, socks, while the obnoxious, annoying rich kid who's mean to everybody gets a PS5. And it's
Right.
both from Santa Claus. Like, why is Santa rewarding this kid who sucks? And it's like,
Yeah, that's hard to explain.
yeah. So we're just like, man, I don't even want to deal with that, honestly.
That's fair. That's fair. And it's funny you say that because I was thinking of that earlier. My cousin went to my great grandma's house, and he usually didn't. And he got a bunch of socks, and it was from her. And at the time, I was like, that kind of sucks. As a
Yeah.
kid, I was like, dang. But then it's like, oh, wait, she's doing something for him, you know? And so yeah, that gift giving is a silly thing here.
Yeah, it's wild.
It can be.
It's weird. Okay, well, I feel like it's funny because the most time people say, "What's the best gift you've ever gotten?" Right? But I want to ask you, what's the best gift you've ever given?
This is so funny because it happened 2 weeks ago on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So my dad he plays Call of Duty and he has a PS4, and me and my brother went and got him a PS5, and he loves his yard a lot.
Hmm.
He like will cuss out the Comcast guy if they're like trying to dig in the yard. He's
Yeah.
like, hell no, get out of here. Anyway, I put that PS5 in the yard, and I was like, Dad, I pulled into the yard, the driveway too fast. I took a big chunk out. I'm so sorry. Come out here and tell me what kind of grass seed you need, and I'll fix it. And he was mad, but he was shocked. He was like, I don't know I feel about this. And he walked out, and then he saw that PS5, and I don't I don't know how he felt, but it was hilarious to me and my brother. So that was really cool to be able to get him to be able to do that, because there was like an extreme sale on one at GameStop, and I was like, that we could split it, and it puts it in within budget. So that was really cool and random. I'm sure there's like cooler gifts that I've gotten or given, but I feel like that was the most recent like fun one.
Hmm.
What about you?
I'm trying to think. I feel like I've given my wife some pretty cool, thoughtful gifts. I try to be very, not just, I don't know, very pointed. Like, I try and I listen, or I'm trying to, okay, we had a conversation about this a little while ago. I got her, I can't remember if it was for Christmas or her birthday last year, but I got her this fancy kitchen knife. She's really big into cooking, so
Oh,
that was
nice.
cool. I bought her a cast iron pan one year, so stuff like that. But I
Yeah.
do remember one year, oh man, it's probably 12, 15 years ago, where my mom, she's a big Christopher Walken fan. And
Nice.
so Cam, who you went to high school with, Cam Clowers, he posted on Facebook or something. I think it was his wife or his girlfriend at the time. She does paintings, of celebrities. And so she posted this thing like, hey, it's a Christopher Walken painting. And I was like, oh, yeah, like that sounds like a really cool
That's
gift.
awesome.
So I got it. But for some reason, there was some part of me that thought, okay, this isn't, yes, I bought it for her, and it's I don't know. It's not just bought from a store, but at the same time, I thought that she would appreciate it more if I said I made it. So, so I told my mom that I painted it, and then like 2 weeks later, my mom calls me, and I totally forgot about this, but my mom was dating Cameron's dad, and
Oh
they were over
no.
at the house, and she was talking and like,
That's so
yeah,
random.
I
That's like it's like multiverse, like Marvel's, theory there or something.
yeah, and she found out because like within a week of Christmas that it was not actually painted by me.
That's so funny.
And that's what I
And
get,
that's clever. Like no. I can totally see you doing that and
Oh,
totally
thanks,
being
dude.
like, that's a good idea. No, no,
No.
I that's quick. That's
Yeah, I
quick
can see
thinking.
you lying to your
That
parents about it.
I mean, if in a normal situation, they're never gonna find out.
Right.
But that one just happened to happen. It's like some Larry David stuff.
Yeah, truly.
Anyway, my goodness. Yeah, Christmas time is a joyous time. I always remembered school being pretty sweet during this time.
Hmm.
Like they'd always do the Christmas dinner at lunch. There'd always be some sort of play where you had to memorize at least like two lines and then you'd sing. I always thought those were pretty fun.
Yeah.
There was one time in like fifth grade, we did one of those and we were on like the orchestral like stand like choir
Hmm.
standing. They rolled that thing out the stairs. And I was about three kids away to the left of him, and a boy, I guess he was nervous. I don't remember his name. Christopher, that was his name. It wasn't me.
It's hard to remember.
I know. He spelled it with a CH. Mine's KR, so it was different. But he yacked all over my buddy during this play or Christmas singing choir thing in the gym, fifth grade, Norwood Elementary, and everybody goes quiet, kind of like a record
Right.
skit. And this kid's like, ah, and he just runs out into the middle of the gym, turns and runs all the way to the back. And I think I'll probably remember that for the rest of my life. But that was at a Christmas play. That was
That's
cool.
hilarious. I love that.
I know there was a lot of throw up stories in elementary school. Sorry, everybody driving to work.
Yeah, honest. Because I've got a couple of those too. Not Christmas, but there was a time I was walking through the cafeteria and like based on everything I've said up to this point, it's not shocking that I was one of those kids who fake sick and all the time. But I was walking through the cafeteria one day for breakfast. Like school hadn't even started yet, and I just blew chunks in the middle of the cafeteria, like on my tray, on the floor, just in front of everybody. I was in like sixth grade, and it was just
Oh my
like you
god.
couldn't deny that wasn't something like, oh, he went in the bathroom and lied. Like this is, I have a lot of witnesses, just like your friend Christopher.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope he's doing okay. I have no clue. Christmas though. I'm sure they're having a good Christmas.
I hope
Uh
so.
yeah, me too. Let's see, like, did you do we did arts and crafts for sure. There was a time where I made a ornament out of like, I have no idea what it was, but it was supposed to be scented like
Hmm.
gingerbread and it was like not it's not clay. It was something. Like it looked baked.
Weird.
And we hung it on the Christmas tree for years. And one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a bite out of this because it smells so good. And it was not good. It was so nasty.
That's hilarious.
But it created a Christmas memory that I'll have forever.
Uh,
Did you make anything from school?
yeah, I don't have a ton of memories of making like what specific things, but you did remind you've reminded me of this. We still talk about it to this day. Is my mom was married to this guy. It was my younger sister's dad, which that sounds so messy, but either way, my stepdad at the time when I was like probably 7, he took one of the ornament hooks and he put it through an unlit cigarette and hung it on the tree.
Oh my God.
So
Special.
he just had this like cigarette hanging on the tree, and it's just he's a funny guy, I
Yeah.
hope he's having a good Christmas. But it's just one thing that thinking back too about Christmas decorations is I remember we did this a lot, and someone I saw on Facebook posted about this, but I don't see this anymore. Do you remember Christmas tree tinsel?
Tinsel. Like the plastic shiny shimmery
Yeah, like
stuff.
the silver. They look like silver hairs almost, or something.
Yeah, we have some wrapped around our stairs.
Really? Okay, yeah. But
Hmm.
like, I just remember like putting that on the tree. That was the most obnoxious thing to put on the tree because it was
Yeah.
just the random strings. You're just like little clumps of it and just like putting it. It's such a pain.
Yeah.
But I don't see that anymore. I don't see anyone putting it on their
I,
tree.
I I think people are doing the pre-lit now, so it's kind of
Hmm.
easy. You just stick to the ornaments. But I've seen it, a couple places. There's not really been any improvement in that technology or technique, sadly.
Hmm.
But yeah, we got some to put in the rivets of the stairs, not the
Nice.
rivets. I don't know what the word is.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Cool. It looks pretty nice and shimmery.
Have you ever done the like putting popcorn cranberries on a string?
I think about that all the time. Even as a kid, I thought about that and how weird that was. No, I never did because I guess unless you did it, our generation, I think it passed us. I think that was our parents and it stopped. But did you?
One year, yeah, my wife was pregnant with our daughter, so this was, I guess, about 12 years ago. My stepmom wanted to do this, and I think it was one of those older generation things, and she wanted to pass it down, and
Yeah.
we hated it. It was just it took so long, and
I can't imagine. I can't think of string going through a piece of popcorn. Like I bet
it's
a lot of it broke and got in the carpet.
yeah, and the cranberries, and it was like you're poking your fingers with the needle, and it's a
Oh
pain,
my
dude.
god.
We didn't.
It sounds
And my
terrible.
wife was because my daughter was born in February. We were doing this in December, so my wife was 7 months pregnant, and she was not having it. So it was definitely not a cool. And I honestly I don't think we did so little. Everyone only did like maybe a foot each that it just really didn't like it did look good on the
Yeah.
tree either at the
I
end of the
think where
day.
that came from, and somebody out there that's listening, prove me wrong or whatever. But I think originally trees were decorated outside,
Hmm.
so it would make sense because you would want pretty birds to come eat the popcorn or whatever. And I guess there was a generation where they were like, "Oh, let's take us inside. We're drunk or whatever." Whoever thought that that was a good idea and just kept that decoration for a while. And then people are like, this kind of sucks. Like, we've got string lights now and tinsel
Yeah.
to put around the tree.
I'm real.
We did.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, this is my first tree ever this Christmas.
Fun.
So I think that that's pretty cool. And I think it's going to be funny for my cat because my cat's an idiot and just acts crazy. I thought she would for sure try to knock the tree down, and I was excited for that. But we put this tree skirt down that's kind of like made of flannel, and she sleeps under there like no other business. It's so sweet, and I'm just like, this is not you. Like what's going on here? So I think she's in love with the tree.
Dude,
It's really
you know
nice.
what's amazing is that exact like I'm looking over at my tree. I was trying to think about like trying to remind myself of things. And as you're saying that, I'm looking at our flannel tree skirt and my cat's asleep on it right now.
Ah, they love it.
Yeah,
I think whoever invented those or made that material was thinking about the cats.
true. And it's my cat's so now I don't know like how hyper your cat is or whatever, but my cats the first couple years I think were way bigger about destroying the lower hanging ornaments, but we've
Mm.
got a few low hanging ones right now, and they've maybe knocked a couple off, but it's really not been as bad as I expected. You know?
Yeah, nothing, not a single one from my cat. It's it's really impressive, honestly. But I was expecting more.
Mhm. Did you ever do a was there a tradition of who got to put the star on at your house, or is it just your dad, or how'd you guys do that?
Usually, it was my mom that did the decorating,
Mm,
and she would do it. There was no tradition. Honestly, I didn't even know that was a thing until Jingle All the Way.
really? Hmm.
And we would do like an angel, I think, and then we switched to like a Santa
Huh.
one year. Never a star. My mama did a star. Yeah, no, there was no tradition really, but we would decorate me, my brother, and my mom. I mean, I guess my dad would help if he was like hanging out there. I don't know. But there was a tradition around that. We would always like make that a big thing. It was
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah, we had for some reason I guess because I was seeing the star on my current tree, but as soon as you said angel, I was like that's what we had was an angel growing up,
Mm,
and I don't think we had a tradition per se, but I think we did kind of argue like oh no I want to be the one, and at least until
I
I
gotcha.
was 15 and tall enough to just reach up there, it was always one of the dads or whoever around to lift us up. And so, and that's the same exact way my kids are. Is we've got a star, and my son put maybe three ornaments on the tree this year, but he was like, "Dad, can I put the star on?" It's just one of those things kids really
Yeah, that's
like.
special for
Hmm.
him. So that's cool. And if at that age, if they ask, then it's a total yes.
Oh yeah,
Or you got to make it a thing, do it in shifts or something
yeah.
to hide. But it's funny. You said tradition, and then you were talking about the cigarette hanging on the tree. And that made me think of every year. So this is a tradition, I guess, because I hated it at my grandma's house because that was where the dank gifts were. Honestly, I mean, all the gifts were dank, but they would always be surprises and cool things at my grand. It was fun because all of the cousins were there, and it was just like everybody was like dopamine rushing,
Hmm.
Anyway, there would always be a point after the meal. And we would just be like, trying to think of creative ways of saying, hey, let's open
Hmm.
gifts. We're getting pissed off. We're five. We're ready.
Yeah.
And my uncles would go outside and he'd say, "Let me smoke my cigarette first." And then we just see him through the window just railing cigs. And we're like, "Get in here. What are you doing?" And I just hope somebody else out there has felt that before because as a kid, it drove me insane.
I that probably something very similar because
There was always just a wait, man. Like old people are just like, we can wait a little bit longer. And it's as kids, it's like there's nothing to do here. We're at our grandma's house.
right.
Like
That's one thing that was cool. I mean, I know you say like your cousins were there. And we waited for some reason until the evening, after dinner and everything to do the presents.
Mhm.
But I think it was easy in Ohio, at least with my cousins, because there were so many of us. Like we were playing, so maybe we were able to kind of pass the time that way. But it
True.
kind of reminds me of in A Christmas Story how they weren't preventing the kids from opening gifts, but I do remember both the parents on Christmas morning were drinking red wine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, why not?
Yeah, let's get crazy.
And they had a ton of gifts, if I remember correctly. Yeah, we would open gifts at like 6 early. I mean, dude, I would like I'm saying, I never slept, so we would just be like, all right, this is an acceptable time. Like, let's go open. And because my dad would always wake up super early anyway, so it was kinda easier. And then they would go on to breakfast, and then my grandparents would come, and then I think we'd go to my mama's and open gifts there. And yeah, there was always, I mean, not as much now, but our cousins would group up and there would be like probably 8 to 10 of us at a time, like a lot. And it was so fun because there was so much. I mean, there was usually a Sega Genesis or like some kind of
Hmm.
system. And we'd play like huge games of hide and seek. Or if it was like snowing, of course, you'd go play out in the snow. Yeah, I always had good memories of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you ever go to the movies? Because sometimes movies would come out on Christmas. I think one year, at least one year, me and my brothers went to the movies on Christmas. Did you ever do that?
We have been doing that here recently for Thanksgiving, and I know at least a couple times we have because there's not really anything else going on, and you
Hmm.
have like gift cards and stuff. Can't think of a specific movie that I would have remembered seeing.
I think the movie my brothers and I went to see was Wanted, which was the James McAvoy movie where he was, yeah, where
Yeah,
he.
that's so funny that you bring that up, and I hate. Don't let me interrupt you here, but specifically, I got that as a gift for my grandparents, and they got my brother a video game that had just came out, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not the same. That's not the same amount of money here. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah, movie theater Christmas time.
That's the only thing I can think of was maybe there's a different year where we went, but for some reason that's the one that stands out. Actually, no, I'm a liar because that came out in June of 2008. Maybe that was the wrong movie, but because I just Googled it. But I feel like there was a movie like that, like a shooting thriller type movie. And I don't know, because you kind of got me thinking, after presents, after food, we play with our gifts and then that high wears off. And then just like Christmas gets kind of boring, like after midday.
Yeah, there's not much to do unless there's like some good movies on, but like that's, you're ready to go do stuff.
Right. But I did really like growing up traveling, because then it felt like more to do with your cousins. But if you did stay at home and you open presents and you eat, then it gets boring. But now, dude, at least for, traveling with my kids and it's a day trip, I am so over that now. That's not fun for me anymore.
Yeah, the older I get, the more I'm like, when I'm at somebody else's house, and this is my time off from work, I'm not really using it to relax.
hmm
I mean, I don't get me wrong, I love traveling and I love going for Christmas and all the trips and stuff. But yeah, the longer I go, the more I'm like, how would it be to just do it at no traveling, And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that sounds so nice. But yeah, I bet as a kid it was pretty cool
hmm
because it was anytime I traveled to see cousins or something. Luckily, a lot of my cousins were close, but I did have some cousins, a cousin in Clarksville I would visit, and they would come visit in Oak Ridge and stuff like that. So
Right.
yeah, traveling, it makes it a thing. There's more traditions that way, I guess, and if you look at it that way.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess one thing that kind of grew into a tradition is, we go to my wife's family's, like my mother-in-law's extended family, my wife's aunts and uncle and grandparents and stuff. So we'll go out there on Christmas Day. It's like a day trip. It's 2 hours or so to Livingston. And I know there's some years where we'll also go see my father-in-law's family, and sometimes my mom will want to do something like the day before. And it just kind of did remind me of growing up with, divorced parents and stuff, just going to multiple, like people talk about multiple,
Yeah.
two Christmases, like in Talladega Nights, like, oh, it sucks, man. It gets exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah, the pageantry of it all I can understand. It can be awkwardness too. Yeah, I never had to do that. I did have a bunch of different places I went to though. It seems
hmm
like.
Did you ever do Dirty Santa with family or coworkers or anything like, or not Dirty Santa? I'm actually meant to say Secret Santa, but have you done Dirty Santa too? I mean,
Yeah, yeah. It seems to be like the new norm. That's how we do Christmas now at my wife's family. We go there for Christmas, and there's so many people because she has four sisters, and so they do like a secret exchange, and you get a person, and then we all have like the digital list we pick from. It's real well thought out.
hmm
I'll say that helps out a lot. Yeah, I did it. I think the first time I ever did it was at church, and that was pretty fun. Learned the rules there, and I enjoy it. It's more fun, I guess, when it's like gag gifts instead
yeah.
of like, oh, you got the iPod.
I was just saying
Like
the
that's fucking
iPod. Yeah.
stupid. But I like it all. I think that's all. It's a pretty unique idea.
hmm I
What about you?
I love Dirty Santa, mostly because the only time I ever play is really at my wife's family's, and someone always provides movie theater gift cards and a popcorn bucket, and that's my target gift. Because I love going to the movies. And so if I
Yeah.
can get gift cards and the annual, $5 refill popcorn bucket, that's my go-to. And a lot of people don't steal that, like it's cool, but
True.
it's not what other people are like gunning for. So if I can get a hold of it, I'm happy.
Yeah, that's like being into oatmeal raisin cookies because, like, nobody's going for those.
Right.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Guess I don't have a certain gift that I go for, but yeah, you can't go wrong with a gift card. No way.
Yeah.
That's cash.
There was a point, where probably in the last 5-10 years where I just started getting gift cards. And of course, it is super nice to open a thoughtful gift. But
Mhm.
man, I do love a good gift card where I can pick out what I want. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's I don't mind that at all. I know I can tell that sometimes it does bother somebody, but it's like that's a free meal, you
Yeah.
know. How else could I get that for you? I want you to think of me next time you go out to
hmm
eat or take me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a big fan of the gift
hmm
card. Especially like I had to order this nail kit thing that the person I had to buy for this year. That's what they wanted, that it was like a kit. And the only way to order it online was to pick a bunch of your stuff like for your nails, and I don't know. I didn't look into it that much. But I was like, here's a gift card. You do this. Seems like it's a personal buy kind of thing.
Right.
So, and I was like, luckily we're in an age where I can do that.
Yeah. And see, that's what Secret Santa is so cool for is like and gift cards is just it's a mix of thoughtful and like they can
Practical.
right practical because you can even if you get someone something thoughtful, it ends up like sometimes it's like maybe the wrong size shirt or maybe just not their style, and that's just it sucks. So it's like here's a gift card to a store I know you do like or would like. Pick out what you want, or so it is cool. But Secret Santa though, I've never done that for Secret Santa. Nothing wrong with it, but that's one of my favorite times is when you have a coworker or a cousin, someone you don't normally think that deeply about, and you have to, and you get the right gift. That's such a cool feeling.
Yeah.
Because there was a guy I worked with who he got me for Secret Santa, and I was like, I didn't know who got me, obviously, because it was secret. But when I found out, okay, this guy Zach got me, I was like, this guy doesn't know anything about me. Like, what could he possibly get me?
Yeah, exactly.
And what he ended up getting me is we had a conversation once. I told him I love the smell of coffee. Like, I don't like drinking it, but I love the smell of it. And he went out into this one candle place and got me a coffee scented candle.
Wow.
And it was really, I was like, man, you remembered our conversation. That's really cool.
Yeah, and for every good story there of that, there's the opposite.
Yeah.
But that is really cool. It gives people the chance to like pay attention and try to pull some information out of you to get the right thing if they try.
Yeah.
I think we did it at school too. You picked a number and did the exchange. I don't know. I get the names confused, but it was always fun.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever given gifts to anybody at school before, but I did have a Secret Santa once where I had a cousin, or it's my wife's cousin, and her name's Shelby, super duper nice, love Shelby, but she's one of those people where I don't know much about her. It's the same kind of thing as like the coworker, and the only thing I knew about her was that she was like really big into playing basketball in high school, and so, and this was probably a ridiculous assumption, but I think this applies to 99% of high school female basketball players, is they love the movie Love and Basketball. And because it's a like a rom-com about basketball and women playing basketball, and like Nico, who we used to work with out back when you went to high school with her, and like she has a Love and Basketball tattoo, and I've seen it's just a thing, and so I just assumed that Shelby liked that movie. And so I found this under budget, like in the $25 or $50 budget on Amazon, was the jersey of the girl from the movie. And she loved it. I was so excited.
Yeah, that is special.
Yeah, and I was just like, just took that leap of like, I hope that you love this movie. Yeah,
I could see that being also a risk thing. Yeah, you're like, she's like, oh, this movie, my mom died.
Right, yeah, yeah. We were on the way home from the theater and we got in a car wreck. I actually have terrible thoughts of this.
I've had that happen to me before. God,
well, it's not funny, but yeah, it's.
I know. I was talking to a girl like years ago, and I was like, she was like, I'm going home for the weekend, and I was because in Nashville and in Murfreesboro, like that's just a normal thing, and I was like, oh, cool, you're going to see your parents. And he said, no, they both passed away. God. And then never talked to me, and I was just like, how was I supposed to know that?
Honestly,
all good. I think it's funny now, but I was just like, wow. Speaking of that, were there toys in that you always like? I know we talked about like the best toy that we unwrapped, but were there toys like think of toy commercials or something that you remember that you were like, damn, I would love to have that for Christmas. I used to look through, I'll say Sears catalogs, but it was more holiday catalog, and you go through and circle. And drum sets were always in there, and I would circle that like 3 times. I was the kid who never got one. I did get a guitar later, but so you were familiar with those magazines?
Yeah, we had the Toys R Us ones.
Okay, and it was probably all the same style. Like you'd see the kid playing with a toy, and then there'd be the code, and it would show the price and stuff.
Oh yeah,
that was amazing. And when Wish and Temu came out, I mean, they're still around, I suppose. The junk in there, I'd never order any of that stuff, but the junk on there reminds me of those catalogs that my grandma would always get, and I can remember circling through that thing like, I'm gonna get all this stuff. Somebody's gonna just go through this and pile up the cart, you know.
Yep.
And I don't think we ever got anything out of those catalogs.
We did the circling of the catalog, but later in life, when we had a computer, my sisters and I started making PowerPoint presentations.
Oh, that is creative. I never did
Yeah,
that.
and my daughter did one for us this year, but and so I don't know. My sisters and I, we love PowerPoint, and
That's so.
I love making presentations still. Like I love using PowerPoint. Actually, okay, little insider info for the people that follow us on Instagram and Facebook and stuff who are listening. All the graphics that are put onto those, I make on PowerPoint. Like I've
Yes.
never used Photoshop in my life. I've just been using PowerPoint for so long. I know how to use it. And I'm sure there's like more depth to the things I could do, but I know how to use it well enough that
That's really impressive, honestly.
yeah, I know the ins and outs of PowerPoint. And so anything like that Christmas thing, the Christmas present thing, like it's all just random images from from the internet all put together on PowerPoint. But anyways, so one specific thing from the catalogs that I distinctly remember wanting that I never got was this Orange County. You remember the Orange County motorcycles back in the day?
Yeah, like the bike.
Yeah, the lowrider bikes.
Yeah, with the huge tire.
Yeah.
Man, I know exactly what you're talking
I
about.
wanted that so it looked like I had a motorcycle when I was like 12. But
Yeah, I know a couple. Maybe at least one person had one, and I bet there's people out there that know what we're talking
dude,
about.
I wanted that so
That was
bad.
the thing there for a minute. Like I feel like that was right as we were turning into teenagers. Like it was the first year or so. Because bikes were big in my neighborhood and like rollerblading and stuff. Yeah, that's so funny you're talking about that. In those magazines, I would always circle like, I always wanted an ant farm. To this day, I want an ant farm. I think that'd be so cool. And you're like, I'm not going to be able to talk my mom into a drum set. There's no way I'm going to be able to bring bugs in the
Right.
house. So, to this day, I've still not gotten an ant farm. But they'd always have them in there. And then I always circled like tool sets and stuff. Like those were pretty cool. I wish I could had one in front of me so I could just like get a quick, like a refresher.
Mhm.
But there were so many things like boats and remote control boats
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff. Like I don't live near. I mean, I guess I lived kind of close to the lake and stuff. But like I didn't have like a pool or anything to play around with. But those would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I would look at those things like for hours.
Oh yeah, us too. And I think, yeah, now I don't want to make this up, but I feel like, my sister, since I have three sisters, I want to say when we'd circle things, I want to say either we initialed it or we used different colored pins just because there was four of us,
That's a great idea.
and something like that, at least until we started doing the PowerPoint thing. But I remember even on the PowerPoints putting like, not links, but putting like the prices and even putting like the logo of the Walmart logo. Like you can get it at Walmart.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that is so smart. I've never thought of that. Even as a kid, I didn't think of that. So it's like, that's really clever.
One thing my dad did that I love that it just, oh man, it's brought back such a cool memory was my dad was a truck driver growing up, and he would, every time he got, fast food, or whatever, he got change, he would put it in a jar. And so we had this like a water cooler jug filled with change throughout the year. And then around Christmas time, we would take it to Coinstar and we'd run it through Coinstar, find out how much money it was in total. And my dad would split it up three ways for me and my two sisters, the ones that were his. And and then he'd take us to Walmart with it, and we'd each get say we had $100. We each had $100 to just go around Walmart and do a shopping spree. And
That's awesome.
and when you're 13 going around Walmart, $100 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it was super cool. And I just remember too that my older sister would spend like 50 of it and ask for the rest in cash. And I would
Clever.
always try and calculate the tax, where mine was like 99.40, and my younger sister Gabby would just like have no idea and spend like 130, just like way over budget.
Right.
But it was fun.
Yeah. And I can, when I taught you math and, buying in a way, maybe that was probably in there as
Hmm.
well. I had a little less life
Oh
lesson.
yeah.
I can get like a ton of little toys or one big
Hmm.
toy.
And I think,
Uh,
my dad having like, if it was me that tried to go over budget, my dad would be like, you put that shit back.
yeah, no video games for
Right.
you.
But Gabby, he's like, the little princess, like dad be like, oh, it's okay,
Of course,
sweetheart.
of course. Yeah, what can you do? Did you ever have like a real tree, real Christmas tree, or I never did that as a kid or even now.
What you mean, like go and chop one?
Yeah, and like put it up in the house and it's supposed to smell nice. It just sounds like a mess to
I
me.
mean, we had real trees up in my entire life until last year, 2 years ago. Yeah, I
Really?
mean, we would go to tree farms or whatever it was. I don't remember exactly. Like we never chopped one down, but we had real ones. And yeah, dude, it was a pain like keeping it watered and the sap and the needles. Like it was a pain in the ass for sure.
Okay, so I just always assumed that it may be, and I didn't have any like experience, so I never tried it. I thought about it, but I was like, I don't want to spend all this money and then make a big mess in my house.
And it's expensive
So is it? Yeah.
nowadays. Well, I don't know how much it was then, but me and my dad went to get one for my house before we bought our current pre-lit fake tree, and it was
Mhm.
like $100. Like I could just get
Man,
a
that
fake
makes
tree that
sense.
lasts me forever. Like why would I do that?
Right. Even if it was like 3 years, it's still a good deal.
Yeah.
I just was like, it's probably nice to have that smell because pine's my favorite like air freshener
Hmm.
smell. And I looked on Amazon or my wife did, and there's these like sticks, scented sticks that you can ornament
Hmm.
hang in the tree, and they have pine smell.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's enough. That's fine.
Yeah.
But one year, maybe when I'm a rich CEO or something, I'll get a real one and put it in my house because it's not as much as a pain. It does. That's why I've never done it. It does sound nice if I knew what I was
Hmm.
doing.
And it does smell. You're right. I mean, now that you're saying that, it does bring back that really strong memory of the smell of the pine tree. Like when you're decorating it and it's just right there in your face. It does smell really good. I'll give you that.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm remembering too when I'm decorating trees because I was thinking like 'cause sometimes it's sticky because real trees with the sap and then the needles are gonna be sticky. And one thing and the tinsel. But now remembering was the candy canes that we'd hang on our tree.
Oh
And those
yeah.
were always, those are sticky. They're candy, so you hang those. And man, like all those different things, we don't do any of that anymore. You know?
Oh we did like different colored ones, and they'd have different like fruit flavors and
Hmm.
stuff. That was pretty cool. That made me think of advent calendars. Did you ever do any of those kind of things?
No, we never had an advent calendar. We do have one thing in our living room right now that's one of like just a 25-day countdown, just where like you move a wreath, like a magnetic wreath one day. But
Yeah.
that's about. Did you have advent calendars?
As a kid, yes, it was just candy, which was pretty
Hmm.
sweet. But my wife and I this year we did a tea advent calendar, and it's like 2 packets of tea every day. It's been pretty
Oh
sweet.
yeah.
But last year it was even cooler because she got me Pokemon card advent
Oh,
calendar,
that's
and
awesome.
it was so cool. And every day was a different. Either you got a pack or a figurine or like a flip coin kind of
Oh,
stuff.
I love
That was
that.
really cool. I would do it again.
Yeah.
And she got it was like National Geographic science experiments every day. So it was kind of unique. We didn't end up doing them all, but we did a couple of them, and they're getting really good. Get on Amazon and look up advent calendars, and there's just something for everything now. Whiskey, even. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think I'd actually like to do that with my kids. Is an advent calendar. Now that you say, Alexa, that does sound like fun.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to open up a couple real fast, but I guess that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, no, I mean we can wait till next year, but just I
Do
want to
they
put a reminder.
do your kids like Legos?
Yeah, actually, my son loves. He has these. We've done multiple of like the build Lego sets of like dinosaurs and all sorts. So yeah,
Hmm.
Legos is a good one.
Yeah, they do. I think it's either Star Wars or regular, but they do a
Hmm.
figurine advent calendar, and it's like an easy way to get more figurines or whatever.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to
Yeah.
find one because I think my kids would love that because they're both really big into like just moving the wreath every day. So I think they would absolutely love an advent calendar.
hmm
Um,
When when was the or what was the latest you waited to buy Christmas gifts?
oh, I mean, like the day before, like for sure.
You're at Walgreens,
Yeah,
like, yeah, that'll work. Popcorn, sure.
yeah, and I don't remember exactly what it was because I've always been a big procrastinator. I mean, ADHD, it's in our
Sure.
DNA, but I've gotten a lot better about it in the last few years only because I it's insanely petty, but I like to get my Christmas shopping done now or like early. And same thing with Thanksgiving food shopping. I like to get it all done early because then if I have to go to Thanksgiving, or I mean, if I have to go to Walmart or a Kroger like 2 days before Thanksgiving just for something at the, like for milk at the house, I like to look
hmm
around and be like, you guys waited too long. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
not me. I got
I'm
my
here for one
stuff. Yeah,
thing.
it's
Yeah,
just
superiority.
yeah. But no, I have definitely waited. I can't remember what that was. Actually, okay, no. This kind of had to happen, but I proposed to my wife on Christmas Eve
Oh,
and her grandparents own a jewelry store in Livingston. She went to work for 6 8 hour shift. I got in my car when she went to work, drove to Livingston, 2 hours away, bought the ring, and drove back before the end of her shift.
her grandparents are like, hell no, buddy.
And like it was obviously I had it like made and everything, and so like and then I proposed to her when she got off work that night. Like I had a whole thing set up, and it was really nice. So like it was kind of had to be done that way because it wasn't ready until a certain point. But
hmm
I do remember driving like a 4 or 5 hour round trip while she was at work just to get the ring.
Oh yeah, and it's not a situation where you could like get it shipped to you either because you
No.
knew the party.
No, and they also had this special. I think it's every year where if it snows on Christmas or snows before the end of the year or something, that you get like half your money back. And like
Oh
I was
man,
praying for it, but at the same time, like this is my wife's family business, so,
right?
and I
Exactly.
already got a discount anyway. So like
Oh
you know,
my gosh.
I don't think she knows
That's a
that,
cool
so it's a
story
good thing she
though.
shouldn't listen.
Yes, yes, exactly. I guess like I waited till I got paid one year. I guess I was working at Kroger.
Hmm.
I was like 16 or 17 and I just remember getting the check it was still paper check. I went to Walmart, cashed it, and then Books a Million was open for like an hour and I was just like, "All right, I'm getting everybody's gifts
Yeah.
here." And everybody was happy with whatever I got. I think I got my mom like a big, big, big thing of coffee, and they were like, "Yes, this is awesome." I was like, "Hell yeah!" I mean, I figured it out on the dime. But it's always fun. I like going into a store and just turning on my ADHD and saying, "You're not leaving until you get a gift for everybody."
Hmm.
And then I just walk around and look at stuff
Yep.
until I find it, and I enjoy that.
I do too. And like you said, like we've said multiple times, like sometimes you don't always hit it on the head. But I had a
No.
similar thing. It was Valentine's Day this year, but same difference, where I went to work. I didn't expect to buy Valentine's, besides doing something with my wife, but I just didn't think about it. And then on the way home from work, I'm like, I probably should get him some, candy or something. And so I went into Publix and I'm like, candy's just not enough. I want to give them a little something else. And I ended up buying them each a magazine, which they were definitely like themed. Like I got my wife like this witchy one and my daughter a Taylor Swift one and my son something.
Yeah. Oh no, I like
But
that.
it just felt funny just to say like, yeah, I got my kids magazines for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I you never really know. You never know what's gonna hit or not.
Right.
Recently, we've been going to the mall. It's hell on earth because
Yeah.
it's like a themed mall, like tourist trappy mall, like traffic in, traffic out kind of place. And but it's kind of nice to people watch and then do the ADHD thing where I just turn my brain off and stay here until I get everybody something.
Hmm.
And there's just kind of more unique things to choose from. Because sometimes I'll do that at Walmart, and I'm just like, it's like going to Kroger and buying groceries for for somebody.
Right.
Like, oh, thanks. I could have bought this myself.
Right. Yeah.
Like I feel bad, but at the mall, things get a little bit more unique.
Hmm.
So I've enjoyed it this past couple of years.
Yeah. I've definitely had good times. Like very similar. Turn your brain off. Go to the mall and just like I have 7 people to buy for, but instead of the sections at the Walmart, you've got stores, and it
Right.
is cool. I had a fun time doing that one year where I remember getting my stepmom, who, if I remember right, she really loved this. She loves horses, and she always had horses growing up. And I found I don't know, I think it was that, what's it called, White House Black Market? Is that what it's called? Some
Hmm.
store in West Town, and it was like this horse head bronze looking thing, and on the bottom was a bottle opener, and I don't know, it's screamed her name, and I got it, and she loved it. So whatever works.
That's awesome. Yeah, exactly. And that seems to be the theme for Christmas time is, getting the perfect gift's not always going to happen, but it's the thought that
Hmm.
counts. It's getting together, creating traditions, eating food, watching movies, throwing up on your friends in fifth grade. All of those magical things to bring to this wonderful Christmas holiday, or any holiday for that matter. This section of time where they've allotted us to be off work. So thank you for joining us. We hope you remember Christmas. We hope you have a great Christmas. We hope you have a great holiday. Enjoy the time off. Create some memories so that way we can talk about them later on, maybe next year. And as always, we appreciate you guys. And also leave a comment on our Spotify and let us know what gift you got as a kid that we would like to hear about. Or yeah, we would like to hear about, obviously. But give us some good stories of what you got for Christmas as kids. We know you got some good stuff. Anyway, hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great drive to work. Hope you had a great night if you're listening to this at night. Good night.